I finally found out why my wife was going out of town every other weekend. With all the updates. First post on March 26, 2020. This all began in November of 2019. I will try to summarize the best I can everything in the 6 months up to this point. In November, my wife, 31 female, asked me, 35 male, to go to marriage counseling. She had just begun to see her own therapist as a requirement for anxiety medication. She voiced some grievances about feeling as though I did nothing around the house and would never help her. We have a son, 8 male, which she also believed I wasn't involved enough in. We had been married for 9 years at that point. I told her to find a counselor she was comfortable with and to set up an appointment and that I would be happy to go. She never did. Everything seemed okay until January. I had begun taking over a lot of the cleaning duties of the residence. Laundry, dishes, clutter, vacuuming, etc. I had been the only one cooking for years. The only time my wife or son had a non-fast food meal was when I cooked. My wife was not the brightest when I came to academics, and I assisted him with all of his homework. The usual schedule for us is that she works 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, whereas I work from noon to 12:30 a.m. on Wednesday to Saturday. Our son has a karate class and stays until 18:30 when she would pick him up. She left her rings on the table one Friday night after a text message basically saying that I never do anything and take her for granted. I told her I was the one who felt unappreciated due to all of the extra work I did around the house as well as working a 12-hour swing shift. She took our son to her parents' house and drove herself to a faraway town where she has extended family. My heart broke. I didn't know what to do. I called Employee Assistance Program counselor. Took some advice. Set up marriage counseling myself. She came back Sunday evening. After though, I became a bit needy. I would constantly ask what was wrong, tell her how much I loved her, asked for a conversation to figure out what was wrong. I met with the counselor first, told her what was going on from my perspective. It was supposed to be a together session. But she couldn't make it. She continued to leave town each Saturday and not return until Sunday evening. Our son would be toted with her and left at her parents' each time. The week after my first session, she sat me down and said that maybe we needed to split 50-50 with joint custody. I got on my knees and told her that I loved her and did not want a divorce. Pleaded with her to try counseling. She agreed. I was beginning my process through the stages of grief. She failed to show up for the second appointment. I spoke again, solo, to the counselor. She then had a solo session herself. I contacted an old friend, whom I had grown apart from. He told me to sit her down. Tell her directly that I didn't want a divorce, but if she was set on one, that we would proceed forward and just give her space. That Sunday I did just that. This time though, I didn't beg, or plead, act depressed, or anything. She sat in silence for a minute, told me she was going to smoke, and left town, leaving our son with me. I took care of him as I often did, and never sent her a message or attempted to call her. At 9 p.m., I called my parents and let them know what was going on. I talked for a long time with them. My mother wanted me to change the locks. I declined. I did agree to meet with them on Wednesday. At 11 p.m. she returned home, saying that she wanted our marriage to work out and agreed to do the counseling. We had a session that Monday, where she spit vitriol at me. The counselor described it as paranaval. We set boundaries. I was to remove my mother from a joint bank account I had since I was 16, and do more activities with my wife. She was to stop using Facebook and stop going out of town each week. On Wednesday, my parents gave me a new car. My car was derelict, so it was replaced. The reason was that my parents were concerned with my ability to take care of our son if I had no transportation when my wife went out of town. My wife did not take kindly to this gesture. The next appointment was Thursday, and I was given a new boundary of not speaking to my mother or father. I called them one last time, and told them I would not be contacting them for a while, with an unknown end date. I went to a lawyer the next day, just to see what my options were and if there was anything I needed to do. I ended up being told to keep financial records, don't add her to the new bank account, photograph the residence in disarray when I got home, and record conversations both in phone calls and in person. I began to do so. Just in case. I would photograph, then clean. I was the only one doing chores. My wife and son wouldn't have clean clothes, house, or food if I just didn't do it myself. On March 7th, I took my wife to a play and expensive restaurant of her choice. Her birthday. I had to take off of work to do so, because on the 8th, she went out of town, again. She made a new Facebook account and also still had her old one. When she returned, I told her I was starting to have trust issues. We continued going to counseling. Our son stayed with my parents for spring break. The spiral for me got worse here. She came home Sunday from camping, wanting nothing more than to be with me. Said she had a revelation that she was no longer 21 after getting pissed drunk the night before. I found that she left her Facebook logged in on the home computer that night. Found a message dated March 7th, to some random guy I didn't know stating she was just trying to get her stuff together to get out of the marriage. Another message to a different guy asking to ride four-wheelers with him one Saturday. I confronted her. She became extremely apologetic and told me that she sent the divorce message when she was mad, and didn't mean it. That she was going to ride four-wheelers as a group, not just with some dude. We had a counseling session the next day. I voiced my lack of trust to the counselor. The dynamic had shifted. I was asked to leave the room for a bit while they talked. When I was brought back in, I was asked if I thought she was cheating on me. I told the counselor I didn't think so, that she wasn't that kind of person. I still had my trust issues though. Last night, while cleaning, I got a hold of her phone. She had been very secretive and guarded of the device. I found a text message from 22:30 hours. I love you, sweet man of mine, to a person. I went through the social media she had. Found evidence of deleted messages. Found that she had been sent loving messages to this guy for a while. I confronted her. It took a while. She confessed. The problem was, after my heart broke a while back, once I got past the acceptance step, I was just logical. I was mad, but not in any way that wouldn't be easily controllable. She claimed she met him when she was out of town. She had been with him in person twice, and only slept with him once. She begged and pleaded for forgiveness. We talked for 6 hours. Well, I did the talking. She would just reply with "I don't know" and "I'm sorry." I told her to call him while I was present and explain herself to him. She apparently had lied to him and told him she was separated. He would never answer. So she sent him a text. He replied, then she blocked him. She finally deleted all her social media and swore to stop going out of town. Begged to stay. She went for an emergency counseling session. All we were told is to get some sleep as neither of us had. I sent our son back to my parents until we figure this out. I have no trust left to give her. I can't believe anything she says. I have audio recordings of the confession, photos of the things on her phone and Facebook before she deleted them. She is pleading, constantly saying she loves me. Said it was only a fling. But still, can't explain why she maintained contact with the man. I can't believe a word of anything she says. I don't know what to do. I keep running the options through my head. I don't know. I really need some advice. Update 1. March 28, 2020. We went to the counselor on Thursday. I vented my sorrows for a bit. The counselor dismissed me and said she would rather work with my wife and I should find someone else to talk to. I went and retained the lawyer I spoke with. Got paperwork ready for an uncontested divorce. She stayed the night. Anytime we tried to talk, my wife just told me she wants it to work and is sorry. Then tells me she feels empty and unable to feel emotions. Blames it on her taking Lexapro. I give her a copy of the uncontested paperwork. She says she won't sign it without someone else looking at it. She leaves to stay at her mother's. She texts me and says she's going to pick up our son from my parents so they can play in her mother's pool. I called the lawyer, We changed it to a contested and filed immediately. She texts me briefly. Calls once for a minute and then hangs up. I go back to work today. Just so I'm not moping. She mumbles love you after we talk briefly. Says she still wants me to have hope and that she needs to get her thoughts together. Now I find myself unable to eat. Gagging randomly, dry heaving. Having nightmares. Restless sleep. Sorrow. Hopelessness. Update 2. April 13, 2020. Basically, D-Day was March 24th. Found a text, confronted, she confessed. She had been going out of town every Saturday, and partying, leaving our son, and not doing anything around the house. She left and stayed at her mother's for about a week and a half. We have an 8-year-old son. She came back to try to work things about and care for him during the normal work week while I'm at work. I filed for a contested divorce. She has been served. She is sleeping in another room, but has snuck back in bed twice. Once because she was feeling ill, the other because it was storming last night, and as an adult, she is still terrified of storms. She whispers honeyed words to me, but can't seem to talk to me about her emotions. I set 3 main boundaries for me to be able to begin any sort of reconciliation. 1. No social media whatsoever. Delete all accounts. She has done this. So far, I have access to her emails and phone by her permission to check. 2. No going out of town except for her mother's. No communication with any male friends who leave out of town. She, so far, has abided by this. Call and text logs confirm. 3. Sign a legal separation with a postnuptial agreement forfeiting all rights to any assets of mine with a joint custody agreement in the event the separation becomes permanent. She has yet to do this. She keeps stringing me along. I'm tired of flipping from anger, to depression and pain, and then sorrow. I've tried writing letters and journaling. I've read this forum many times a day. Read articles on the topic. I feel like I need this to start healing, but I can't let go when she is so close to the line in the sand I drew. What is she waiting on? Should I just accept this the way it is? I'm lost again. She hasn't sought an attorney of her own, at least as of the time I write this. I don't know what she is thinking. Update 3. April 23, 2020. Overview. Was having a hard time with my wife. For a while, went to counseling with her. She was leaving every Saturday out of town. Came home one Sunday with a changed attitude and was all about me and our marriage. Had trust issues after that, got her phone, found evidence, confronted, a confession. She left. I contacted a lawyer, set 3 boundaries or conditions. 1 being a legal separation and a postnuptial. She came home for the pandemic to help with our 8-year-old son. Now that I've given a brief summary. She had been taking our son to her mother's house almost every day. I thought we were doing better and might even be able to reconcile. I wanted to. I wanted her to want to. She would tell me she did. Then she would turn around and say, never mind, divorce. This week, more of the same, but she changed her mind about legal separation. Or so she led me to believe. My lawyer had warned me that she would be very unstable and manipulative. But she was my wife. 9 years married, 12 together. I wanted that hope. It was addictive. We talked some. She would tell me everything was going to be all right. We would sleep in separate rooms, but she would sneak back in my bed from time to have me hold her, rub her back. Today she was supposed to talk to her attorney and set up the legal separation with mine. Instead, she called and told me she was moving out. I was crushed. Again. I was already having a hard time at work, even after putting in hardship to get my first shift assignment after 16 years employed. But I asked for the next 2 days off. She wasn't even going to come back home. I told her to bring our son back and agreed to the terms she wanted during the divorce settlement stuff. Week for week, as long as she had her own place and was living by herself with no roommates except for a new spouse. She finally brought him back. Later on, after whining and looking for excuses, we sat him down and told him a bit of what was going on. It crushed him. She had crushed both of us, again. She took her clothes and wanted 3 pieces of furniture, small things. Whatever, I didn't care about that. She couldn't take those with her. I told her to hurry up and get them in a day or 2 and give me her key back. I wanted to go to my family and I don't want her damaging anything. My lawyer told me she would send notice of her vacating the residence, so she couldn't just kick in the door. It would be burglary after that. Though, in my malice, it would be funny to see her with a felony on her record. It feels final. I feel relief hiding amongst my grief. I read the book you all recommended to me. Leave a Cheater, Gain a Life, link in the description, but I guess I was chasing a unicorn. But the betrayal is back. My sorrow, my anger, my resentment. My longing. I feel abandoned all over again. She isn't good with money. It's only a matter of time before she realizes how much it really costs to leave. Once I cancel her phone off our account, and have the utilities placed back in my name. I want her to fail. I want her to come crawling back. I want her to feel this pain. I took care of everything. She didn't even need to lift a finger. She was toxic. Selfish. A liar. A cheater. I still loved her. Why? Why do I still want her back? Why am I still wanting her to try? I talked with her briefly tonight. She said she had a migraine. Good. She said she didn't want the legal separation. I said fine, but you offered no alternatives, you didn't look any up, you didn't even try to convince me otherwise. You did nothing that wasn't self-serving. I said. I left the door of reconciliation open to you and you slammed it shut in my face. This is all on you. You got what you wanted. Then the conversion ended. No more I love yous. Just goodbye. 2 more days until 1-month anniversary of D-Day. And now I am alone. With my son, who doesn't understand and is convinced he will change her mind. I told him that it wasn't his burden. I told him we both loved him. He wants his mother to comfort him. He wants what I wanted. It breaks my heart. All over again. Update 4. April 28, 2020. Is my soon-to-be ex-wife gaslighting me? So, my soon-to-be ex-wife, for those who remember my other posts, has started to blame me for everything. Downright accusing me of not even wanting to reconcile, even though I kept backing off my boundaries to lower the bar for her. I told her that all I wanted was for her to come to me and ask for forgiveness sincerely. Then she said, "You just wanted me on my hands and knees begging you, kissing your butt, but honestly I don't see why humbling yourself is wrong in that scenario." I asked her what should I have done then, and she got off the phone. She was haggling for money in the divorce settlement. Seriously, I only even answer her phone calls anymore because of our son. I'm not the bad guy here, right? I'm not showing her that she is getting under my skin anymore, even though every time I talk to her I feel like it sets me back in my healing from this. Update 5. May 4, 2020. Went pain shopping for some reason, found what I went there for. I had been doing better about not thinking about her. I was just trying to find the motivation to enjoy things again. Until today. We had a handoff of our son. I told her to keep her phone and find a new plan before I cut it off, and to find her own vehicle insurance. She mentioned that her attorney had not heard from mine. I told her because the last offer was the final one. She started in on me saying that I was going to lose a lot if it went to court. That they were going to say that just because she messed up, what she refers to her cheating as, that she isn't a bad mother. That I'm the evil and selfish one because I wouldn't let her have a TV. So she left, called me later. Said the divorce was happening and it's all my fault and I pushed her away with my boundaries and because I had her served. My hopium dried up. There was still a small part of me that wanted her to try. I'm back to thinking about our whole relationship again, looking for where I messed up, Why I'm the bad guy here. Moral of the story. I may have finally gotten my answer about what she wanted in words instead of just judging her by her actions, but it cost me a great deal in my recovery process. Don't go pain shopping because you'll always find it. 2-month update to my wife cheating on me. It's almost a 2-month D-Day anniversary, and I will be out of town to post. So, here it is. The backstory is in my post history, I'm sure, but to summarize. Wife of 9 years quit doing anything around the house, started going out of town every weekend, leaving our 9-year-old son with different people. Left rings on the table once, started marriage counseling. Got better. Found she had been cheating while out of town. She wanted to reconcile, I wanted her to. She moved out a month later. Started gaslighting me again. So, she's gone. I've tried hanging out with my friends that have come back now that she's gone. They tell me she was never good for me, they didn't like her or the way she treated me. I've gotten lots of support from coworkers who will just let me rant at times. I'm going downhill though. She calls me at times under the guise of discussing our son. She's bought him a dog, a new Xbox, let him do whatever he wants, feeds him nothing but junk food or fast food. He's loving her place. A 1-bedroom apartment where he sleeps on a couch. Her lawyer was late with discovery. She had kept trying to get us to concede on settlement points that were non-negotiable to me. Mainly involving our son's education. She quickly rushed in some answers to questions that were asked. I hated reading her answers. They were lies, and I had evidence to prove otherwise. The divorce is going to be contested now, which means long and drawn out with so much uncertainty. She said she had no contact with her affair partner after she had been caught. Every time she tricks me into talking to her, she pushes my buttons until I'll actually engage her. I know I shouldn't talk to her, but I don't know, rage fills me up and I just want her to stop and see the forest for the trees. I always send the recorded phone call to my lawyer after, who tells me not to be so bitter. It's my fault. I'm a bad person. I treated her badly. I didn't like her cooking, so that's why she never cooked. I never wanted to do anything with her, even though she was the only one I ever spent time with. She stopped cleaning because she couldn't live up to my mother's and my standards. We ganged up on her. I ignored her. I never helped with our son, even though I was the one who did all the laundry, cooking, cleaning, discipline, woke him up, got him ready for school, made and packed his lunch, picked him up on my off days, went over his homework and read to him every night. The more she says this stuff, even though I know it's a lie, I can't help but wonder if I'm just a rotten guy. She sometimes even acts like she's crying, but if I end up seeing or hearing her shortly after the conversation, she all cheery or spiteful. I worshipped the ground she walked on and did everything for her. I was extremely codependent. I only wanted her affection. She sent me a call log last night trying to prove she wasn't keeping me from talking with our son, her affair partner was on it. More lies. She's surrounded herself with her old friends that she broke contact with when we got married. Ones that had cheated on their husbands or used her when she was in high school. Why can't I cut this last cord of hope that she'll just be a better person? Why do I have to feel like trash while she has a new boyfriend and is living it up, spending money like it's going out of style? After her phone call last night, I ended up drinking myself stupid. I don't know why. I don't normally drink at all. The urge is so strong after any of these interactions with her. I feel like I'm drowning. It's so bad when at home alone, because it's empty now. I can't motivate myself. I take walks, clean house, cleanest it's been in years, horrifyingly so, reading, tried playing video games or watching a movie. I just can't seem to enjoy anything. I just end up going through the motions. I enjoy spending time with my friends, but we're all older now, and they have their own families. We can't do all the stuff we used to or even as often as we did. I'm worried about being alone for the rest of my life. My friends are afraid I'll latch onto the first person that pays me any attention and I'll fall into the same situation again. I thought I was doing better. After last night though, I don't think I am at all. Update 7. June 7, 2020. My birthday was on June 3rd. Happy birthday to me, I suppose. June 3rd birthday, 12 years together, 9 married. D-Day was March 25th. She attempted to reconcile, but left and began hardcore gaslighting me on April 22nd. It's been rough lately. Lots of bad days. I keep hoping I feel better. I fluctuate between anger, resentment, and depression. I've been trying to stay no contact as best as I can. I've been sending everything she does to my lawyer with photos and recorded calls. She will be deposed in late June, early July. Don't know what happens after that, but she hasn't gotten us discovery yet and she is over 2 months late on that. Her lawyer hasn't even done a discovery request. On my birthday, she sent 2 texts. The first was happy birthday followed by information that she had taken our son to the dentist, and that he had cavities, because she never makes him brush his teeth. The second was, our son told me you have a girlfriend. Hope she makes you happy. I replied that I didn't have a girlfriend and didn't know why our son would tell her that. I told her to only contact me if it involves our son. She replied with I'm sorry. I got home, my parents had been by, they left me a cupcake and a card. I didn't even get to see my son that day. I sat alone, remembering all that I had lost. The day after, I was at lunch during work. She tried to call, my friend saw her name and sent her to voicemail as I picked up the phone. Good on him. She sent 3 text messages asking for assistance because the family car that she took with her, the only car we had broken down and she wanted me to help. I ignored her. Later, she called again while I was in the middle of important work that I couldn't really get away from. When I didn't answer that time, she sent a text saying it was about my son. I called her back, he had hurt himself in the finger with a knife while she was doing whatever it is she does now. Not watching him obviously. She didn't call the medics, didn't take him to the ER. Which would be fine, but she called her mother to come over and take a look at it. She couldn't make the determination herself. I'm able to talk to my son in the afternoon, but she does try to prevent me sometimes from talking with him. Speculation is that she isn't with him, or around him, and has left him with someone else while she is running around doing whatever. I could just be reading into things too much. I don't know what to make of the texts. They don't matter. I shouldn't care. This woman was my everything, and I still can't understand why any of this happened. Why she dropped our whole lives in order to act like she was 21 again. I finished cleaning out my house of all her things. I hated it. Her wedding dress. Our photos. Gifts I had gotten her, discarded. Everything. Every bit of her. Everything I worked toward. Gone. Sorry. I had to write this. I find myself doing this instead of writing in a journal. I just want to wake up from this nightmare. I want to be with my family, or what I thought was my family. Even if she was extremely lazy and messy. I feel so alone. Final update. October 5, 2020. I apologize for not doing a great summary. I'm sure you can find it all in my post history. It's been quite a journey. Last Thursday was our court-mandated mediation. It's over at least. I had her deposed a while back. Was rather funny. She began making faces at my attorney, and hers wanted to settle post-haste after it. She committed perjury multiple times, even when confronted with photographs and audio recordings. She ended up with her stimulus money, the family vehicle, and half of last year's taxes. Nothing else. A small price to pay to be rid of her. 50-50 custody. Swapping each Friday. I'm just waiting until she ends up not paying her dues for school or medical, so I can take her back and get primary. I ended up with decision-making over education and medical. She got religion. The judge signed off the day after mediation. The only emotion I have left for her is apathy. No more depression. No more bargaining. I want nothing to do with her. Started my son in therapy. He's begun to act out in school. Not sure what else to say anymore. I hate it. I don't feel like I can trust. No faith in the institution of marriage. I feel cheated. I never got my vengeance. I never saw the karma. No justice. So yeah. The only thing left is to just make sure she doesn't ruin my son. To take care of him and undo her stupidity when he's with me.